UK forces may be deployed on the ground in Gaza to help deliver aid. We're going to read into this more from the BBC, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the BBC with the headline of UK forces may be deployed on the ground in Gaza to help deliver aid. British troops could be deployed on the ground in Gaza to help deliver aid via a new sea route, the BBC has learned. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, I am going to go out on a limb and say this may be a bit of a stretch to say that this is going to happen. I generally am not convinced by this headline, if I'm personally honest, and I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are too, because of how Britain kind of sees itself as a good friend and ally of Israel, and we all know how we feel about, some of us may feel about that. There is absolutely no question that doesn't make any logical sense for British forces to be deployed in this situation, because there is absolutely no way that if there's going to be any kind of engagement or encounter, I would expect you would want some kind of violent encounter between British forces and Israeli forces. This is hence why the headline says the term may. So I really don't have, I really am taking this story with a big pinch of salt, and I think you should too. Now, as of the time of this recording, more than 36,000 Palestinians have lost their lives. It may roughly around 36,000 have so far lost their lives within the Gaza Strip. More than 11,000 women and children have sadly lost their lives within the Gaza Strip. Many in there, as I feel like I have to talk about this again. And it's not nice talking about this, guys, because you know how bad it is in there. Many people have no access to water, to food, to electricity, and they have literally nothing. Within the Gaza Strip. Some of their homes and whatnot are just literally just rubble around them, and they have absolutely nothing. And I've even shared some 1 or 2 clips of what's inside Gaza's looking like on the Snowflake Watch live streams. So we've seen some of the how barren the places inside the Gaza Strip are. Now, one of the biggest conundrums is that Israel have just not been allowing enough aid to go in via the land routes, and their consistent argument is obviously they don't want any weapons or whatnot getting into Hamas, but somehow Hamas are still getting their hands on weapons anyway. They're making it incredibly difficult for the likes of the UNRWA and World Food Kitchen to be able to allow aid. Just two of many trying to help charities and organisations that are trying to help the people of Palestine, not getting involved within, not having nothing to do with the conflict, but just simply want to help those who are suffering and dying inside the Gaza Strip. And they're not being allowed to do that. The Israelis are not allowing anywhere near enough aid to go in. We also know that the US has tried airdropping it into the Gaza Strip. However, there has also been stories of, unfortunately, 1 or 2 airdrops where either didn't go inside the Gaza Strip, or sadly one of them actually fell on top of an innocent person, on some innocent people within the Gaza Strip, that cost them their lives as well. So that kind of, while it does get food in there, it doesn't always necessarily goes to the people as well. Some of it's also been deployed in drops into the sea as well. So it's really disheartening, especially if you're somebody who is actually giving a lot of money to these aid organisations to help feed those within the Gaza Strip, and then you hear about aid drops that actually just don't actually get in, or they fall out of the, or they may actually, they're just sitting on the sidelines. It's not actually getting in. It's very, very infuriating, to say the least. So I don't see what is the UK forces, what is going to be the difference maker here if they do. How are they going to make the difference here? And this is the question I ask myself, and I'm sure this is a question that you guys would be asking. How are they going to make a difference? So let's read what the BBC have to say on this. So it says, the US have said no American forces would go ashore, and an unnamed third party would drive trucks along a floating causeway onto the beach. So the UK is understood to be considering tasking British troops with this when the aid corridor opens next month. Whitehall sources said no decision has been made on the issue and has not yet crossed the Prime Minister's desk. The Ministry of Defence and Israeli army have declined to comment. Britain has been closely involved in planning a sea-borne aid operation, and Defence Secretary Grant Shapps says the UK has continued to take a leading role in the delivery of support in coordination with the US and other international allies. I'm not going to take anything from Grant Shapps seriously, and I wouldn't do anyway. The possibility role of British forces known as wet boots by military planners would see them drive trucks off landing crafts into temporary causeways and deliver aid to securely distribution areas ashore. Although a huge effort would be made to protect Allied forces both off and onshore, British troops would potentially face a high risk of attack from Hamas and other armed troops. On Wednesday, a United Nations team had to take cover when mortars landed near a planned distribution zone. US defense officials confirmed an American Army ship began work in the eastern Mediterranean to build a larger floating pier. Aid would be delivered there from Cyprus on large ships before being transferred into trucks on smaller landing craft. They said the floating causeway would be several hundred meters long and anchored firmly into the sand. They said they hoped the new maritime corridor, which they called the Joint Logistics Over the Shore operation, would ultimately deliver up to 150 trucks per day. See, for me, for me, it feels so completely unnecessary. If Israel would just simply allow aid more through its doorways, both from Egypt's side and from their own side, it would just solve so much of the aid problems. But this is all on Egypt. Sorry, not Egypt. This is all on Israel, and their seemingly determination to stop aid coming in. They are really making this difficult. All this can be avoided if Israel would just lighten up and allow this aid to get in for those who need it. So the IDF vowed to provide security for sea aid. The aim is to add to but not replace aid deliveries by truck that are still insufficient to meet the needs. On average, about 228 trucks per day are currently getting into Gaza by road. The Israeli Defense Force said it will provide security and logistics support for the JLOTS initiative to enhance the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. Israel's military will be responsible for anchoring the floating causeway to the beach, and they have been practicing how to do this with American forces further north of the Israeli coast. A briefing with journalists, a senior US military official said because there would be no American boots on the ground, hundreds of US soldiers and sailors would live and sleep at sea on a UK Navy vessel, the RFF Cardigan Bay. He has also made clear that US forces would not take the aid ashore and instead that the role would be carried out by a significant partner. He confirmed this would be another nation, not a private military company. Well, what nation would that be? Don't know at the time of this recording. We have a third party who will be driving the trucks down the pier, the US military said. Just at the point of emphasis, there will be no US military boots on the ground, so a third party will be driving those trucks. Despite questioning from journalists, he refused to name the third party. One US source said nothing has been decided, but there was a debate going on about what we do. Do we put wet boots on the beach? Do we drive trucks onto the pier? The MOD declined to comment about the suggestion UK forces might drive trucks ashore, but Mr. Shapps said the crew's RDF Cardigan Bay was central to the UK's contribution, adding, "It is critical we establish more routes for vital humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza." He said specialist British military planning teams have been embedded with the US operational HQ in Tampa, Florida, as well as Cyprus for several weeks to help develop the fastest and safest, most effective maritime route. The UK Hydrographic Office has also shared analysis of the Gazan shore with US planners to develop the pier. So this is a satellite image of the onshore pier, which has been under construction since March, apparently here. So that's apparently what they're going to be around that area, apparently. So more than 6 months into Israel's military operation in the Gaza Strip, over half its population of 2.2 million is crammed into the southern city of Rafah. The UN's warned that a humanitarian catastrophic and Israel has faced international criticism for limited amount of aid reaching the civilians by land. Zaid Esker, head of the Humanitarian Policy Action Aid, told BBC Radio 4 Today programme that any way to deliver aid to Gaza is welcomed and will help a bit. But the problem is this way of delivering aid is going to take time and there's lots of logistical uncertainties about it. He said it would be more efficient to allow delivery trucks into Gaza via land crossing. Trucks loaded with tons of medical supplies with food are currently waiting to enter Gaza but are not allowed by Israeli forces, Ms. Issa said. And aid workers are calling for Israel to permanently open a land crossing at Erez. The Hamas-run ministry in Gaza said more than 34,000 people have been killed in Gaza since the war began in October the 7th. So it's 34,000. Well, I've heard different reports saying it's 35, 36,000, but still, it's every life is still. It's just a horrible feeling, regardless. The IDF launched the offensive after about 1,200 Israelis and foreigners, mostly civilians, were killed, and 253 were taken back to Gaza as hostages, according to Israeli tallies. Yeah, of course, because this is all the tension was already there before October the 7th, but Hamas's horrific attack triggered an outcry of anger, without a shadow of a doubt, by the Israeli government and its citizens, because of what they did. And there's no excuse whatsoever for what Hamas did there at all. No one's taking that away. What they did was absolutely disgusting and horrific. But the way that Palestinians are being treated, and you have to differentiate Hamas from Palestinians, the way they are being treated right now is inhumane, and it needs to stop, and more aid needs to be allowed in. So essentially what could be here about this port and that, I just feel like this I just want the aid to get to them, and I just feel like that this is more work than it needs to be, just because there's not enough pressure being applied by Western nations on Israel to allow more aid to come into aid for the people of Palestine. That's generally how I feel about this. It's just not been enough. The criticism of Netanyahu and his government has just been nothing short of just it's been soft, I would say, by Western leaders. It's been soft, and people are angry about what's happening here. They are very angry, and it's causing a great deal of damage and unnecessary tension between religious communities, both Muslim and Jewish communities, as well, because of what's happening as well, and the continuation of this happening, which is why everybody wants a ceasefire called. I understand the anger I understand how many Jewish people feel about what happened on that day, and it is an absolutely horrific thing. However, so many lives have been lost on both sides, and there needs to come to a point where we just need to stop and take a breath and look at what's happening here. And at the moment, it doesn't appear to be that case at all. But what do you guys think? What do you make of this UK, US, and third parties' plans to get aid into Gaza? Do you think it will make a difference? Was this necessary? Could aid not have been done better if Israel had been a bit more relaxed about letting aid in from their border sides, because they control the borders from their point of view on the roads? Could they have done more to allow aid to come in? What are your thoughts about all this and more? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.